All right, we are at the second episode here of CTTP. For those of you who don't know, cut to the point. Cut to the point. This is Barber Talk. Isaac Miracles, Dani the Barber. Today's guest, Ronny Benzwy. Ronny, I've known you for, over 20 years?
Roughly.
I know for 10 years.
You know for 10 years. There you go.
We have Offer in the background this time, special sound.
Yeah, today, I got to start off by saying that today was a special day. We're Monday. Typically, my day would start at 10 o'clock in the morning. That did not happen this morning. And we had a couple of cancellations, but it's all good. But we want the whole purpose of why we actually did this podcast, and Dani really is the one that pushed me on it, is because a lot of times when I would come and he would cut my hair, we'd really get into some great conversations, some really heart-to-heart conversations, stuff that you typically don't kind of release. You know, you're going for a haircut, you're going for an experience, you feel comfortable, and you open up. And he was the one that kind of like initiated this whole, let's share this with the world, because at the end of the day, there's no new problems underneath the sun. Everybody has the same issues that they're struggling with. The variables might be different, but we figured let's do it. We wanted to bring local Montreal talent. Our first podcast, ironically, was with Jonathan Benchimo, who's a major, and Rabbi Sadia, a major influencer, and we wanted to actually take working businessmen, people that are involved in Montreal Jewish community, and they have their ups, they have their downs. We wanted a real slice of life.
Yeah, I said to a lot of my clients, and they said, "Oh, it's very interesting. I never thought about it." A lot of people, when you reach them about 60 years old or whatever, 55, when they're already set up, everything is good, the kids, some of them married, the business, everything run well. But I ask people, when you had the struggle in life and you had the moment, everything, all the door closed on your face, what you did. And a lot of people say to me, when I had a problem, I face it. I had a guy, he's a real estate guy, and he told me the phone calls, it was non-stop, 20 phone calls a night. And he told me every time I put myself on sleep, I wake up in the morning, it was horrible. The day I said, I have to face it until 2 a.m., I will face it. You pick up the phone, you figure out, I have this roof problem, this problem. You fix it, the day was smooth. He said to me, listen, in life, you have to face the problem.
You can't run away. Is what you're saying. You can't run.
And this what let me start thinking, asking people what you did in this situation and what you did in this situation. Sometimes people don't. I don't know.
I think I know what Ronny is going to tell us.
I'm just listening. I'm waiting for the opening. So
there's two events, with your permission, that I'd like to open up.
Shoot.
Okay. First, start off. Okay, who are you? What do you do? When you were born? How old?
Hello to everybody. I don't even know where to look, so I'm looking everywhere.
This tiny camera.
Hi, Ronny Benzwy, born and raised in Montreal. Lived here all my life, 51 years in Canada. Born in a very traditional Jewish home at age 32 after divorce number 1, which was at 27. So 5 years later, with all the craziness in my life, discovered Judaism. And my first shot was right into Rabbi Nachman, the Breslov Center. And ever since then, I was able to get remarried and have 3 beautiful girls. And here I am today with a great group of people in Montreal, the Chaverim, traveling to Uman for the last 18, 19 years. I'm in the financial services business already 30 years. And that's the gist of it. The heart is obviously aimed towards Eretz Yisrael. And we're very lucky to live in Kot Sanuk with the beautiful community that we're in here. I want to add to the Barber, in life, one of the richnesses that we can have is having extensions of your life, extensions of your home outside of your home. So the mashal is that when you go to Dani the Barber, for example, it's 10 years. I can go to 10 other guys, but I love coming to you because you're an extension of my home. A friend that I can speak to about anything, nothing while getting the haircut. Right. Then you go to the, to the boucher. You go for whatever boucher you go to, any place that cuts your meats, and you feel it's an extension because you're speaking to the Jew. Hey, Leon, hi, so-and-so. And then you're going to the fruit place. And everywhere you go in your life, if you have an extension of your home, of your life, that's an extension of what serves your family, to help you Navat Hashem, to eat, to mechabed the chagim, to do something is the most beautiful thing in the world. And these are gifts, right? And to have it within the confines At least in our case, for Côte Sanouk, we have that. And those that live in Saint Laurent, they have that in Saint Laurent. And for those that have it on dollar, they have it on dollar. It's a beautiful thing. It's
a mini Israel.
That's a mitzvah. I mean, Israel. I think what I want to, what the message is, consider it as a richness. Consider it as a material. Consider it as an acquisition. That it's priceless. It's hard to find it. So if you look at things like that, then you find yourself really much happy with what you have, right? Not with what you don't have. Right.
Very nice.
So it's put things in perspective.
Walk us through. So you're born in Montreal. Walk us through your teenage years. What school did you go to?
Ooh, I grew up in a traditional home.
Yeah.
Like anything else, traditional home. We're in Rosh Hashanah. You're at Yom Kippur. You have a Friday night dinner. You have a kiddush. You can't go with your friends you can't go Friday night with your friends. You don't mix meat and cheese, the basic stuff.
Okay, so you had those.
Public school where there are lots of Jewish kids, and then a private school, and then Wager.
What school?
Oh, I went to a school in Chambéry, West Laval High School, then Chambéry High, then Centennial Academy, then Wager. I didn't get thrown out of the schools; just was a movement of schools, and then CEGEP and then university, right?
Yeah.
So, and today I can tell you, when you grow up in that environment, it's not enough for those listening out there. And you might think this guy's crazy, and I don't know if you're the message board. It's not enough just to marry a Jew. It's a good step, but it's not enough, And I'm not giving anyone musar here, but if you don't have some tools, you don't have some direction, you don't have something to pass on to the next generation in Judaism, I wouldn't say you're doomed to fail. It's a little bit harsh for some people, but the odds are stacked against you that they will want to marry another Jew. And the best example, maybe I'm going off topic here, because it's in my mind all the time, and it bothers me because my love for Judaism, for Jews, is so great. When I was in high school and Wager and Centennial Academy, my parents didn't have the means to send me to the Jewish private schools, even though I was in Centennial Academy in those 2 years. But prior to that, I was applying to the Jewish schools, but because I didn't have the elementary school equivalent, I couldn't go into the high schools now. Now they changed the rules around.
Right.
So even if we wanted to, I wasn't accepted, I didn't have the base. But my friends that were in those Jewish schools today, now that I'm 51, so they're my age, my friends, their kids, in many of the cases, are not in the Jewish schools to begin with. So obviously, what I'm saying is not a fallacy. It's the proof, which means what? We're watering down Judaism over 20, 30 years, and what happens? It has no potency. So I grew up with no potency of Judaism in my life, had no effect on me. What I want to make is a full circle. I mean, we're going off topic. It's
not at all. I think first of all, I think that's super interesting. It's interesting because I share something in common with you too. When we moved back to Montreal from Maryland, Gaithersburg, Maryland, I also went to a public school. Okay, and one of the concerns my mom had was she didn't. First of all, it was financial. The Jewish schools were quite expensive. Okay. And she didn't want to put me in French with the Hebrew, you know what I mean? New country, it would have been overwhelming. Okay. And then again, thinking back, over 20 years ago, I actually think she made the right decision. And I'll tell you why. Now at age 45, when I see some of the Jewish schools, okay, there's a couple of Jewish schools, we'd have to go into each day, but it's like, there are certain Jewish schools that, the environment is Jewish, okay? But it's not, like you said, it's not really giving that potency of Judaism, okay? Whereas in my case, I had little to nothing, okay? But that created a thirst and hunger that allowed me to embrace a much more, I want to say, passionate Judaism that I'm living today. I don't know if I would have that if I was put in that environment. You know what I mean? I don't know. But, we have to believe that it was for the best.
You realize it's Hashem in the end that chooses the path for all of us, right? Right. But clearly, my son went to a certain Jewish school in the community, and it costs what it costs, and at least they're with Jews. Right. So your mind says, at least they're with Jews. Right. And they might marry a Jewish person. That's the base of the philosophy. Right. But no one that's putting those kids in the schools are saying to themselves, you know what, I'm expecting that they come out with, maybe they'll learn the parasha, or maybe they'll know some tefillot, or maybe they'll know Tehillim, or if the grandmother's sick, they'll light a candle and do a Tehillim. There's not going to be that reflex, right? They come out, unfortunately, with the ideology that Judaism, the practice of Judaism, is almost like a subject of mathematics, right? Or science or biology, and it's optional. You put it on the shelf, okay? You're still Jewish and you're proud, don't get me wrong. And, and my my son's friends come over, I always say, you can be with a non-Jewish girl, you can have the tattoos, you could have done drugs last night, you could name it, you could have done everything that you wanted. And you're walking the street, and you have 9 of the biggest rabbis you can think of on the streets. Name the rabbi that's in your mind. Okay, imagine Moshe Rabbeinu was alive, and Rebbe Nachman was alive, and the Rebbe of Lubavitch was alive, and the Baal Shem Tov was alive, and the all of them were alive here in Montreal. Special Shabbaton weekend, right? I tell them,
Right.
and then they're 9, and they need minyan. Right? You can't do minyan without 10 people. I said, do you think you can count to complete the minyan? They all tell me no. And that's a whole other topic in itself as to why they think it's no. We know the answer. I say, do you realize that you can?
Right.
And they're flabbergasted. What do you mean I can? Yeah. You still count. You're
Right.
still a Jew, no matter what. They're easy prey. Don't get me wrong.
So
okay?
you're
so
saying
the potential is huge, but we're not exploiting the potential
let's
of these
say
kids.
your Judaism was, let's call it kosher style, right? You know,
It was modern, and I basically, when you live in that kind of life as a Jew, you almost what's the word? You subscribe yourself to the ideology of evolution, right, and advancement, and doing Shabbat is archaic.
Right.
Okay, eating kosher that makes no sense. It's overly expensive. You have all these logical things, right? And putting a kippah all day long, and what I have to go vacation. I can't go on this vacation and that
Right.
vacation. I'm limited,
Right.
right? And so people say, no, it's crazy. People think we're crazy
Right.
to be practicing Judaism. To them, it's archaic,
Right.
right? Close my business on Shabbat. It's the biggest day of the week, and so on and so on and so on and so forth. Fine. But Baruch Hashem, with time, I was able to get to that.
Okay, so
so the irony, I want to leave this
Yeah.
with all the viewers. If you're going to leave one thing, Shabbat, even though it's the day where you have the most restrictions, you cannot do many, many things. No, it's the day that we're the most free. Think about that. The day that you have the most restrictions is the day that you're most free. And if you flip it around for the days that you're free to do whatever you want on a Shabbat, it's actually the day that you have the most, you're in a slavery. It's the reversal. And it's the one day of inactivity, as we very well know, that gives us the bracha for the 6 days of activity. That 1 for 6.
Yeah.
But it's not taught like that in the schools. It's taught in a different way. So the kids don't get that love that they should be getting for the amount of money that the parents are spending in the Jewish schools, taught by teachers. And now I'm being critical, if you want to cut this out. The teachers don't have the love for Judaism. They don't have the fire. So if the teacher, lechatchila, is not giving them the basic education the school has dictated that they're going to give to the kids, what kind of love the kids are going to get leaving the school towards Judaism, towards wanting to practice? So some schools do a great job on that, don't get me wrong.
I don't think we can put all the blame on the schools because the
And
reality
the parents, that's the school the
at
parents
the end of the
choose,
day,
and
I don't know if you look. Danny,
I
grew
came
up,
from a different background.
yeah.
You
Danny
came
grew up
from,
in a super religious.
I came from Bnei Brak. It's the
So-
opposite.
Yeah.
But this is what I realized when I came here. Like what people live here, it was my dream to be free. Free. And I like how I grew up, it's like people, wow, it's amazing. Everybody Shomer Shabbat, everybody go to shul, you surrounded, everything you need. And I said, what a second, but I was into it and I didn't see the love. I see it here. And it's like the opposite.
Yeah.
And what I realized the last 10 years, it's not about how you teach it and how you put the gvulot, the borders. It's how the kids see. I don't know how to say it in English. מסירות נפש של ההורים.
Yeah, but
I agree with you. But listen, my kids
fine
are
line,
in.
though.
Again, this is a Jewish community, Montreal thing. So I don't want to name any schools. I believe there's good in everything.
Tons of good.
There's tons of good. But I do
love
want
you
to say
guys all.
something.
Don't,
I do want to say something. Like, my kids are in a religious school. They have Torah. They also have Chol and stuff like that. But the general avira, when they go to school, like most other kids, they don't like school. It's homework.
Okay.
It's that. And me, I'm thinking, man, I didn't go to a Jewish religious school. Dude, I'd love to be like learning like Gemara and the Parasha. But even though they're living in a religious household, okay, you see that there's still that. So I think a lot of the responsibility is what Dani is saying. It's the mesirut nefesh of the parents.
It's us. No, we by the way, we're on a very, very tight rope. He came from Bnei Brak.
Right.
In Bnei Brak, when you're born in Bnei Brak, chances are you're born where it's already third, fourth, sixth generation.
Yeah.
Shomer
No,
Shabbat,
sixth generation.
Okay.
Because we're only three generations.
Okay, so
Right.
three
In
generations.
Israel.
But so it's
Second generation.
So he's second,
Third
third. So you're already
generation.
born
Sorry,
into
so
it.
third,
Your
third.
parents were already born to it. The grandparents were maybe
Right.
okay, fine, and the whole area around you. So
Yeah.
it's that or nothing.
No, my mom, they did Shabbat and everything, but they will not Haredim. They will
So they
not
were
black
Bali
and
Tshuva, they
white.
were
Okay.
Bali Tshuva.
Okay.
It's
Kind
it's
of.
like kind
Okay.
of. They then came from.
So the
Yeah.
Kotzon Nuk today, ironically, the majority of Kotzon Nuk, if you think about it, the majority, we're all Bal Teshuvah. We're like at least first or second
Yeah, it's
generation.
a very
At least
broad-
our generation.
yeah.
I'm 51
Yeah.
years old, so everyone that's around me in my age
Right,
group,
right.
maybe 10 years older, 5 years younger, we're
Right.
first generation
Right.
Bal Teshuvah.
Yeah, you first. I'm second.
Okay, so you're second.
Or
My
maybe
kids and your kids are first generation.
Right.
Now, the fine line is what? Ver verpa. There are those that take off in the teshuvah, they take it super seriously to ad kadei kach that in their homes, okay, they really do not have Netflix.
Right.
They've reduced the internet access.
Right.
They don't talk about, you remember when, and
Yeah,
you
yeah.
I missed this, or I missed that. We do that. I do that. And I realize the rabbi once told me there's a danger in that.
Listen,
because the kids are realizing that there's doors that they want to open. And you
Right.
guess what? They're opening it. So the risk is
I
that
think
maybe
those doors
either
are open
what?
whether
Listen,
you
me I have
open them or
opinion.
not.
Yeah,
Me I have
but-
opinion about it because my mom, okay, decide to be religious. She decide one day. She said,
She was
okay.
a Bali Tshuva. She's a
She's a Baal Tshuva.
Yeah.
You can say she's a Baal Tshuva.
Yeah.
She's said 1 second, I don't want the pants, I want the skirt.
Right.
I don't want this life. I want to get to that life.
Right.
And when before married, I'm talking about maybe 16 years old, she said, this is the life I want. And I said to my mom, you decide to be religious. I grew up to it. And if I grew up to it, let
My
me
kids
find
made that
my-
argument, by the way. My kids made that argument to me.
You chose
Let
to
me
be in
find
it.
myself.
I'm raised in it,
Yeah.
so I have the option if I want to
Right.
to
Right.
And where does that come from? Those thoughts, those foreign thoughts, those open.
It's a
The
very-
there's a the
it's
fact
a
that they know
very
that door is
normal
available.
thing.
It's on us.
And
a
the
little
point
bit.
I say that because I said to myself, the only thing every time when I faced problems, especially in religious way, if the roots is strong, and my roots is strong. Even my mom didn't grow up that kind of like fully religious, but it was very strong roots. I always come back to the good. And I say to myself, sometimes like I had a hard time, it's like I want to break everything, I want to go like, and I keep myself and I continue believe and I do what I believe, make the roots stronger. I see it on my kids, I see it on my wife, I see it, and I see, I don't have still big kids or no nechadim and that, but I see it on my father, how he was strong. You think my father then had nisyonot? Or you think my father was sitting every like in a college and say, oh, I'm happy here? It was hard. If it's money, if it's a lot of things. I didn't ask him, but
Nefesh, yeah.
and always my mom said, we strong because my father Mesirut Nefesh. Don't think it was easy to my father. I'll tell you a small story, and it's very important for me. My father, when he was young, I'll say it very short and cut to the point. My father, when he was, I think 18, he was a Bachur Yeshiva. He wanted to go out of Derech. My father came to him and said, listen, let's do a deal. You want to go out of Derech? Not a problem. You have my permission for one. Let's do one thing. He said, it's Shavuot now, the Chag coming in. After the Chag, go do whatever you want, but the Chag, stay with me. And we'll do a competition. We'll dance together. Who's falling first? Win. If I fall first, you do whatever you want.
Wow.
But if you fall first, you do what I want. So yalla. My father, he was kind of a handicap. If you see my father,
Was
he
he
has
had-
he has
he
a
have a
problem
limp?
with
Yeah.
with
He
legs.
limps, no?
Yeah, and they start dancing. They're dancing. The story said, I don't know. Somebody said until 4 a.m. Like 3 a.m. It was like insane. The guy fell, and my father told him, "Listen, take your time. You have until set the Chag and think about it." The Bahul left, and he came to him after the Chag. He told him, "Listen, I'm not staying here because you win. I'm staying here because the last 6 months, nobody care about me. Nobody look at me. Nobody say hafilu bokoto. I was going to pick up food. I was every time take the last one. Nobody care. Nobody see me. I was going to sleep early, wake up late. Nobody cares. And he came to me with your broken legs and said to me, let's do a deal and you dance and tell you. I had to give up to, it's like, I break down to the floor. And it's only because you care about me, I'm staying here. And this story teach me one thing. Yes, today, this generation, people don't care. People see people, but they don't care. You know the saying in Germany, there's a highway, you can drive dead, nobody will stop. No atzilu, no nothing. And this generation, it's not just the intention. It's like you care about your friends, you care about your kids, you care about the future of the person. What's the farthest things you can do for him? And every time I see a moment or I see people and I see people problem, if you go forward with them, they will follow. And it's absolutely 100% real, because I try it and I see it over time with people. If you really care about them, you see them succeed. It's the best recipe to therapy somebody. How I see it.
Ronny, let's double back in your life here. Okay, so you're growing up in Côte Saint-Luc, traditional Jewish lifestyle, You meet your first wife, you get married. Walk us through that. Where were you at?
It's really heavy stuff here, right?
Yeah, hey, this is Barber
Nothing.
talk.
I got married, had a beautiful boy who's 26 today.
Wow.
At the point, when you're a traditional Jew, you're very happy to marry a Jew. You think that's more than enough.
Yeah.
At least she's Jewish, right?
Yeah.
At least she's Jewish.
Right.
Everyone says that. But at least she's Jewish is, at that point for me, was enough. Like it is for everybody as a traditional Jew.
Right.
But then you realize, looking back, I was getting married on what basis, on what foundation? Everything that was socially or whatever was considered to be the modern day world, right?
Yeah.
So there's no Shabbat, there's no having a rabbi in your life, someone that can guide you, no books that you're reading there. There's nothing to help you enhance yourself internally, externally, and for both to build a different kind of foundation.
But listen, to play devil's advocate, I mean, there's plenty of religious people that divorce too.
True that.
They have the rabbi, they have the books,
True
they
that.
have the
You're
lifestyle.
very right. So the audience will be very happy to hear that. We have to assume that the odds or the percentages are much lower. Then the skeptical say, but maybe the numbers are much greater, but they're not reported for the skeptical, possibly. I will add, listen, all the bad things that exist in the world are not discriminatory. Whether it's drugs or money or gambling or pornography, whatever it is, it doesn't stop because someone has a beard or a peyot, or they're black or they're white and they're Muslim. Everyone is open to be hit by those variables. We see it, we know it, they're out there. So doesn't mean because you are practicing or you're doing or you're gonna be absolved or you're gonna be protected. That's Baba Mises. Your odds are greater. That I will say. The chances are greater. That I'll say. But that you're immune that you're immune at 100%. That's Baba Mises. Doesn't exist. It's
let's double click on your thing. Okay, your marriage.
Yeah.
Why did it break down?
Without getting into too much details, the marriage broke down because the trust of the relationship was broken. Okay. I gave it a few shots. I had no tools. The people that we went to go see to get help were psychologists, and whatever it is, that were not Jewish in many cases. If they were Jewish, they didn't have anything to do with Torah whatsoever. So it was all academia and the books from the universities and PhDs. So we have to understand where the information was coming for, right? So that's where the ruach, that was where the spirit of all those advices were coming our way. I had a hard time to let go of what had happened. And at the same time, I mean, all this happened, the steps was just before September 11. The famous day. And I had a little cousin of mine who was 9 years old that passed away. She had like an aneurysm, so she passed away. One of my best friend's father dropped dead at the Shabbat table. He died. So all of this went on, and I was 27. And at the time, my brain was telling me, well, if this is life is so short, I want to be happy, right? Because happy is a whole other conversation. Right. If I can't get over this, I can't continue, and I got to get out. Without the support of my parents, her parents were in Toronto, and they weren't much involved in our life, so to speak. And I had to make the decision on my own.
How old was your son?
My son was just barely 3 years old.
Wow.
I was 27, and I decided to. But on rules, we discussed everything. We discussed as a couple was always respectful and always what's it called? Amicable.
Amicable, right.
Because I made a rule. I said, if we're gonna do this, if this is where we have to go, it's got to be one lawyer, no courts. Mind you, we went. We didn't have 5 houses and 3 cars and
Right.
millions of dollars. We had what we had.
Right.
But no matter what, I didn't want to have a war.
So it was clean?
It was clean. One lawyer, $1,200, one meeting. Have a good day.
Wow.
Amicable. Very
And
rare.
what was going through your mind vis-a-vis, I don't know, you're a son, I'm going to be, divorced, a single parent, that like,
So
how
the
did you...
Yetzirah was waiting for me. The inclination was waiting for me. A little that I know, because he thought this is a great opportunity. I remind you, everyone, this is before social media, before the cell phones, okay, before any of the stuff. So I got an apartment. I moved out, took my stuff, found my own place, and then the Yetzirah gave me my first candy, which was, hey, you're living the life. You can be a single father when you have your son on your visiting days or whatever. It was very free back and forth. It was scheduled, but it was very not, where are you Sunday, 5 o'clock?
Okay,
it was nothing like that, You owe me, and it was really smooth across the board. We go for suppers together. We do activities together. I want him to feel parents are involved in his life. So it's
and
a very
Chagim,
unique.
You guys still...
Some of the traditional holidays, she'd come over to my parents' house for some of the meals and all that. Just we wanted to keep a normalcy.
Nice.
Luckily for me, for those watching this, in any break off and any thing that happens in your life, you're going to have what they call collateral damage, right?
Yeah.
It's like when a house gets burned down, there's collateral damage. You get a divorce, there's collateral damage.
Right.
You get divorced after 10 years of marriage, there's a collateral damage.
Yeah.
After less than 3 years of marriage, there's a collateral damage, but it was very limited, all considering. Fine. So that's it. Moved out, and the Yetzirah said, listen, you can be the father with a child, and when you give the child back, now you can be the bachelor. And then I started getting into problems. That's where for 5 years, for the viewers out there watching, I did it all. Name it, I did it. We're not going to get into details. Why? I wanted to see what was the big deal. Okay? What was the big deal? Now, the mind goes in different rates.
Yeah.
I lived a life where I was doing everything I wanted to do, and I wasn't married, so I wasn't bound to rules and regulations. Right. Okay? In everything. We're not just talking about with women, but...
Right.
And every time I did it, because the movies, the TVs, the social media at the time that was just beginning,
right.
Everything that we saw was telling you that when you have this, you'll get this.
Right.
When you'll get there, you'll do that. When you'll be here, you'll feel like this.
How was the financial situation?
We'll get to that.
Okay.
And I realized by doing all this craziness that when I got to the end of the cookie jar, like the leprechaun that goes after the rainbow, guess what? There's no pot of gold. I would get there and say, okay, then what? This is what everyone's going after? This guy is doing this to get that, but in the end, there's nothing there. It was empty.
So you're living this hedonistic lifestyle. You got your good financial, status. You're single parent. You're doing whatever you want. Okay, how long does this last?
So 5 years of 60 months of craziness.
Craziness.
According to me.
Yeah.
Okay. Realizing at the end of the day, it's nothing. It's not leading to anything. And it's
what
limited.
was the breaking point?
The breaking point, and I'm giving the broad strokes for just a question of time, is me going on a trip to Israel, thinking I'm going to go on a crazy trip and do craziness with Isha Torah, for those listening, which is part of Olami.
Well, how do you go from going out every night to Isha Torah?
Just rewind. I think it's very important for those that are out there, because a lot of users want to get married. I really wanted to get remarried. I was still young. I was young enough to want to get remarried.
Right.
And I remember wanting to get remarried and going on business trips. And on business trips, all the married men, when they go on business trip, what's the first thing they want to do? They want to go to a bar and get drunk at the bar, or they want to go to a strip club. So what happens. And I'm like, but you're married, and that's where you want to go. To me, it was, not that I was Mother Teresa, but it bothered me, right? Because being with someone, it's serious. You can't take it for a joke when you're committed. Fine. And so I wanted to get married, but I didn't want to get married with what I saw. I saw friends that, like you said, they met the girl. They're with the girl, they gave her the ring, they had the beautiful wedding, they went on the honeymoon, they bought the house, they had their first child, they had their second child, and then what? And the then what's very dangerous, right?
Very dangerous.
And that's what the boredom kicks in, okay? So she's going and joining a bowling alley league, and he's doing a poker game, and they're doing anything to not to be with each other.
Right.
And when they get to the bedroom, the TV's on and they're watching TV. And it's like, and it's not for me. I was not attracted to that. There's something that was, and you can see that there wasn't the kesher. There was no real connection. They're holding on. And unfortunately, eventually, and what scared me is that I realized at a young age, you can raise kids together. So you become glorified babysitters. But when the kids get older, all of a sudden you kind of like separate as a parent. And then when you refine yourselves later on at 50 years old, you look at each other and say, hi, I'm Ronnie. What's your name? Mine. And you don't even know each other. That's when, so I said, no, this is not for me. That was my mind.
Gotcha.
So I said, I need to have certain rules and regulations, some kind of guy was looking for something. Today I know I was looking for the emet, in my opinion. I was looking for something that had meat and potatoes to give me what I needed to be able to get
you
married.
signed up for Eisha Torah?
So no, so that wasn't the back. No, so this was
a big jump.
No, so this was in the back of my head, burning a hole, but never spoke to anybody about it. My mother worked for a program. There's a trip to Israel. It cost $600 for 3 weeks. Come. So, $600, a cheap way to get to Israel.
Wow.
My intentions were obviously very crooked. I'll leave the program, go to the beach, do my craziness. Fine.
Gotcha.
Lo and behold, they go on the trip with a whole bunch of kids, and we spent time at Ish Torah and the programs. The rabbis came in. I was 27, 28 at the time, and the rabbis with the beards and the payos, and I was the anti.
Oh, wow.
Now, one of the turning points for the viewers out there, for you, was me sitting at Baton Rouge with my son. Okay, I was not practicing. I was a proud Jew. We're all proud Jews.
Right.
But we're proud Jews, but we're not practicing Jews. So if we're not practicing Jews and we're proud Jews, what are we passing on to the kids? It's a big question. To each, you answer it the way you want. But to me, the answer was nothing I was passing on to my kids.
But you didn't feel as a hypocrite
No,
back then.
but the wake up was me being at Baton Rouge and having my ribs. And the ribs obviously are not, they're pork. For those that want to know, they're pork ribs. They're not kosher, 100%. Me, I was doing it regularly. Okay, I never had that in my life. It was great. I was experimenting with all kinds of foods, except for lobster. I've been eating lobster with a bib like a 5-year-old. Doesn't attract me with the butter. There's something about it that's not pretty. What is this? A grown man? Well, anyways,
if it makes you feel better, I did red lobster. I did red lobster. I remember I had the worst stomach ache in my life, and I prayed in the bathroom.
So go back. The big turning point was me being at Baton Rouge, and it was one thing that I was eating that.
Okay.
But I was with my son and some friends, and I was watching my son, him also eating that.
And it hit you.
And he's washing it down with a chocolate milkshake. And I said, whoa, brakes. Here I am. We're spending the $6,000 or $7,000 or $8,000 a year that it was for Jewish school.
Oh, right.
Okay.
All right.
And it's the bare minimum. I'm paying this, and he's eating pork ribs with a whoa. I've gone too far. I crossed. To me, that was my threshold.
I got you.
Something's wrong here. So my mother has a trip.
When you see it in yourself, you don't realize you crossed the line, but when you see it in your kids, this is when I hate you.
Bango. Okay.
So basically, when you saw that scene, it shocked you, and then
fast forward to Israel. Israel, Eisha Torah, and to me, a guy with a beard and a hat and all that had no credibility.
Okay.
He's archaic. He's studying Torah. He's watching books.
Right.
Shabbat. It was anti. It was anti. Proud but anti.
Gotcha.
Okay. And this
Which
comes from, and there's a reason why it comes from home. My mother became religious when I was a young kid, so I saw her become the person that was, living a good.
Oh, so your mom became religious.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's a whole other trigger. Okay. She went from being this to being that in a very short period of time, and it was
and
a
your
trigger.
Father?
My father, no, till today, nothing.
Ooh.
Yeah. So just that little side note, like.
So you always had a voice that was kind of like.
Yeah. Look,
trying to bring you back to
at
reason.
the base, and it's for the crowd and the audience. Listen, at the end of the day, anyone that's Jewish that has something against the wanting or the desire towards practicing, or has a disdain to anyone that's practicing, and deep down, it's because that person has how do you say rancune in English? What's a rancune? He has a grudge.
Yeah.
Okay, he has a grudge.
Resentment.
He has a resentment towards Hashem for whatever reason. You name what it is, but deep down, if you do some soul searching, we all have a resentment. The easiest one, if God is so great, how come the Holocaust happened? No one can give you the answer. And on that, live your life. I get it. And in Israel, the Chironi in Tel Aviv can say, if this guy's behaving like this, October 7th. So you always have your reason to justify living your life but living your life like that, as much as you think it's a great life, it's flatline, but they don't realize it. And that's what I realized I was flatlining.
Wow.
Fast forward to Israel.
Gotcha.
I'm in the program.
Yeah.
What got to me is all the rabbis there were former MIT, Harvard, Yale, UCLA, educated Americans that did teshuvah and now live in Jerusalem. So right away, instant credibility. I said, academia. Torah, forget about it. I'll listen. At least I'll listen.
Right.
The one defining class that got me, if you want to know the tripping point for those listening here, is when the rabbi talked about relationships. And I'm like, what's this rabbi going to teach me about relationships? What's the Torah, this archaic piece of paper that's 6,000 years old, that's not shayach to the so-called evolutionary modern day world that we live in? What's the kesher? What's the connection?
Right.
What can it teach me, right? So the rabbi, we separated the boys and the girls. They had the rabbanit and we had the men, and the rabbi started speaking, and I was ready to go. I was ready to go bat to bat, right? This is where I was at. And the rabbi just simply wrote on the blackboard 3 letters. The Torah says for a relationship to work, for you to meet your bride, your soulmate, to at least have a good foundation, at least have a better chance, the Torah says you need to have three things. So he wrote the word I for intellect. He wrote the word E for emotional. And then he wrote P for physical. The Torah wants you to have an emotional connection, a physical connection, and an intellectual connection. And as he said that, my brain was doing a Rolodex. I remember being with someone that was a beautiful person, but there was not much to think about. And there was someone that was a great person to speak to, but I wasn't attracted to. And there was a person where it was more like friends, and I wasn't physically. I said, this guy's right. He said, you can't have one or two out of the three. You got to have three out of the three. I said, oh, okay. I'm in. Next. What else does the Torah say? And then I realized, I'm getting fast tracking so people have I realized that Judaism is like a giant orange. You take off one peel thinking you're going to get an answer with one question to realize there's another peel and another peel. And guess what? I'm 19 years in Judaism. Every year, every month, every day, every week, there's another peel coming off. It's endless. It's endless. Who doesn't want to tap into that? Each has its own beginning and end. Nice. My problem is, so I had the answers. Fast forward, after 1 week in Jerusalem, there was a girl I met on J-Date. I figured I'm going to meet someone in Israel. Again, my intentions weren't. And I picked her up on a Saturday in a rented car after the program was over. Yeah. Now, prior to that, I was in Jerusalem for 2 weeks in the Wailing Wall. We stayed in a youth hostel in the Wailing. Right. I was there for 2 weeks looking at the wall. I believe it or not, I said, it's just a wall. What's the big deal? People are crying and they're this and they're that. And a little side note, people were coming to me and asked me for tzedakah. I had no concept of tzedakah. Right. And they were coming, tzedakah. You feel aggressed like flies. At one point, I said, Bo, come here. If I don't know if it was, well, say it in English. I said, come here. He says, how old are you? He says, 19. You're 19? I said, yeah. You're married? Or 20? Yeah. He says, yeah, I'm married. How many kids you have? I have 2 kids or 1 kid or whatever it is. I said, you work? He says, no. I said, you tell me where it's written in the so-called religion of Judaism that you're allowed not only to get married, not allowed to have kids, not allowed to bring even more kids, and to sit there and beg like a shlemaza. What is this? I gave it into him. Wow. The rabbi that was on the side saw him, pulled him over, and said to me, you have your life and the way you see things. We have our lives the way we see things. Just a year later, when I went back, I made sure to come back with a pile of money. And whoever asked, I gave. 5-10 shekels, what I gave to everybody. So I understand what the concept of tzedakah is. So that was it. So I went picked up the girl, went to Tel Aviv. Yeah. In Tel Aviv, I realized driving down Dizengoff that it was quiet. So why is it so quiet, Tel Aviv? And it clicked. I didn't have the reflex. Right. It's Shabbat. There's no cars, there's no buses, the stores are closed. I went to the beach, I'm at the beach, a cigarette, the beer. 2006. Oh, wow. Okay. Luckily, look how Hashem divided things. At the time that I went to pick up the car to go back to Jerusalem was exactly a minute before Shabbat was ending. And all of a sudden, 2 minutes after Shabbat ended, what happened? Power! You know, in Israel, you have the Shabbat ends, the bus. I said, what the hell is this? She says, Yatzah Shabbat, she tells me. Shabbat just finished. I said, I don't know what this is, but to feel that there's a close down of the city and it's quiet, and then you have the revival after Shabbat. I said, this energy, whatever it is, which is called Shomer Shabbat, it's wonderful. I want to tap into it. And I realized in Montreal, you never get that. In Israel, you could be anywhere, you feel it.
The first thing I was feeling.
You don't feel it here.
What's going on with the buses? Everybody is like, where's Shabbat?
You know, it's funny.
A lot you feel it even Shabbat. No, but the whole country you feel it.
When I was in Israel on a vacation with my family,
it's the first thing actually I realized in Montreal.
I experienced that, and it's true. We don't have that here in Montreal. Even if you are Shomer Shabbat, it was Friday, and I was kind of taking my time, kind of like I take over here. But over there, I think I was staying in Netanya. The stores were closing. I was like, what the heck? I better hurry up. I experienced that. It was interesting.
So when you feel that, you say it's good. Fast forward, came back to Montreal, decided, you know what, cold turkey. I want to do a Shabbat. That was it. My mind told me, I'm going to start shopping for synagogues. That was my mind. Every weekend, I'm going to go to different synagogues. Okay.
Oh, you came back to Montreal like,
yeah, but the week after that, right. I had one more Shabbat in Israel.
Wait, what happened with the girl?
Nothing. It wasn't. Okay. She wanted nothing. It's just, I didn't want to marry someone from Israel.
I got you.
Whatever. We're just whatever. Nothing happened there. And the week later, I did one more Shabbat in Israel, and I went to a synagogue, and I heard Lecha Dodi for the first time in a synagogue, a Sephardic synagogue. And when I heard Lecha Dodi, that's it. I said, I don't know what this is. So I got enough of a zetz to say, I've tried so much stupidities in my life to realize it's not fulfilling, and these small little things like lift you up, right? Yeah. And that was it. Came back to Montreal, shopped for synagogues, And
Shopped for synagogue.
I
What
thought
was that like?
I just figured I'm gonna go from synagogue and find the synagogue.
So funny you
that's
said
the way my
because
mind
I
works.
had the same thing when I came here. I was in yeshiva first of all, very welcoming, and after when I married, I said, "What a second! I need a connection with the synagogue," and I was going on and on. I was going Breslov, this, until it's that's it, זה המקום, תישאר פה. That's it, stop shop around, stay
When
here.
you find your makom, it's a blessing. That's it.
So you start shopping for synagogues.
I start shopping for synagogues. Of course, the Yetzer Hara doesn't, whatever. He says, I have someone to meet someone. Someone called me up and says, you're thinking about being religious or being practicing. I have a girl to meet. So I go pick up a girl. I go out for coffee. A week later, she invites me to a shiur Torah, which I never would go to in my life.
Wow.
Okay. I went. And who was the one giving the Dvar Torah that day? It was Rav Sadia El Haddad, who was here last week. Okay.
Yes.
Now, ironically, in my mind, I'm very carré.
Yeah.
I thought Judaism is like a science book. Let's do chapter 1, and then you have chapter 2, and then you have to have chapter 3. Today, I can tell you, the entry point for everybody is random. Hashem decides what the entry
It's
point
not
is.
random. It's different.
It's
but
different. So if you have a book that has 35, let's say it has 1,000 chapters, every chapter will be a different entry point for different people. So there's no one size fits all. Bravo. Okay. But that's what I thought. Mina Shamayim. When I went to go see Tzadja the Dvar Torah, what was the Dvar Torah I talked about? The first mitzvah that was given to Am Yisrael after they crossed the Red Sea, which was what? The mitzvah of Bekat Levana. To know, so it was the beginning. I said, wow, beautiful. And that's it. It got me. That was Hashem gave me my chapter 1. Wow. So I realized looking back, it was already a gift from Hashem. Fine. And then a week later, I came back. I met Haimi Man. Haimi Man said, come to the synagogue. I said, which synagogue? The one there on...
he was the one that canceled this morning. We're going to get him.
Yeah. So he said, come to the synagogue. I said, which synagogue? I said, the one that you hug trees and you go to the Ukraine and you... Yeah, that's the one. I came. I heard Lechadadi for the second time in my life. It was fire. And I said, this is my makom. The rest is history. Wow. So now fast forward. Yeah.
How you come from different worlds and you figure out the place and you figure out Breslov and anything. And I will say it again and again. You will hear it for a lot of podcasts. I came from Bnei Brak. Rabbi Nachman was not allowed to talk about it. It's like I was doing book binding and one guy came to me. He said, I have to do something. Let's take Mishnah Berurah, the cover, and we'll cover it. Likutei Moharan.
Okay.
We'll change the cover. The guy changed the cover to learn Likutei Moharan. And
this is in Israel?
This is in Israel. I'm talking to you in yeshiva.
Lots changed since then.
And I also, when I came here first year, I was going to Breslov, and I saw people so happy. And I'm telling you, happy. When I came to Rabbi Yeshiva, it was the top of the time of Yeshiva Kremezi. It was the peak. 26 people. Everybody happy from here to here. And I came depressed from Bnei Brak. And I said, what's going on here? What's going on? How are you happy? You're supposed to be depressed, wake up in the morning, go to the shachrit, complain about the coffee, complain about the sugar, everything about complain. I don't say everybody in Israel is not happy. It's how I see it, how I pass life. It was your
experience.
It was my experience. My brother-in-law came to me. He said, it's beautiful to see you here because in Israel, you're supposed to be shine. Your father was Rosh Yeshiva. Your life, you live on the top. You live whatever you need, you get.
It's amazing. And sometimes Hashem literally throwing you away. Lech lecha. It's what we learn, Richard. Lech lecha, lech le'atzmecha. I'm gonna throw you away so far that you're gonna be able to find yourself only there. כי אדם לפעמים צריך לעבור דרך בחיים כדי למצוא את עצמו. When it's under your nose, it just doesn't work. I need to go through a derech.
So crazy because I got Aliyah this week and it was Lech Lecha מארצך, מבית אביך, ממולדתך, אל הארץ אשר רקע. Baruch Hashem, when I came here, everything worked out for me. People was happy. Everything was worked out for me with the kehila, with the music, with the barbershop. And I said, Baruch Hashem, we have this. We have it. Some people don't see it. Wow. I wish to be in Israel. My mind is in Israel. But you here right now. You have to think about now. And when I start going close to Breslov the last 2 years, I'm a new person. I'm a new. I'm not the same Dani 10 years ago.
That's very, very deep what you said.
And my father, when he came here for my son Brit, he said to me, Dani, I will say one thing. I never saw you happy in my life like this.
Tashalem.
You
And nobody knows better than the father. Right?
So Ronnie, back to your incredible story here.
Where are we now?
Okay, so you go out with this.
Okay. So I go to the Breslov Center, and that's it. I'm hooked. I start
Okay.
going every day. I show up a week later with my tefillin from Bar Mitzvah, a small little box, and I end up getting a new pair of tefillin, and I'm very proud.
Yeah.
And I know nothing.
Right.
I know nothing. And the irony is, a rabbi once said, sometimes we send the kids to Jewish schools, and you have all this money you spend, and then when the father passes away, the kid can't even do Kaddish.
Right.
And it was like, oh my God, I didn't even go to Jewish school. I don't know where to begin. I knew nothing.
Wow.
So I had a siddur. I'm like, where do I begin? Okay. I learned. I got tefillin, talit, ta-da-da. And that's it. A year and a half later, I went to Uman, right? Well, actually 2 years later, because that 1 year was another tikkun. And I spent a year at the center just doing my so-called teshuvah pros, soaking it up. There was a delay to getting kosher. There was a delay to having kosher dishes. There was a delay of going to the mikveh. Everything was slow, but I was in the perfume stop.
Yeah.
I was in the perfume store. So if you're going to be in the perfume stores, Rabbi Nachman says, you don't have to buy. You can browse.
Yeah.
And I was browsing because verpa,
Yeah.
some randoms of the fragrance is going to stay on you. And that's exactly what happened.
Wow.
Right? So anything that you do is like going into a perfume store, right? Some fragrance is going to stay on you. Now, that's the age of 32 years old. 32, I got married at 35. So those 3 years, okay, Hashem or the Yetzirah said, oh, now you want to be in the religion? I'm going to send you some potential candidates. Yeah. And the new tests were people that weren't in the derech, they weren't shomer, they weren't kosher, they weren't niyut. And of course, you try to do one size fits all. You try to put the round peg into the square hole. Doesn't work. And eventually I went to a rabbi. He basically said, if you know where you want to be in 5 years, you'll find your bride. Which basically says if you're strong and you have a conviction of what you want, you're going to find your bride. So when I used to go to events and social events and I'd see someone that caught my eye, I'd start asking questions. Do you know the person? Yes. Is she this? Is she that? Is she that? Meaning, is she shomer or it's niyut or kosher? If the answer was no, I wasn't interested.
Interesting.
And it allowed me to move forward. Hashem saw, you know what?
Would you say that it's very interesting what you're saying? Like once you kind of, if you will, decide what you want, you manifest kind of like your
and
your
it's a
partner.
message to anybody watching. There's many young kids out there watching it who are 19, 20, 21 to 25, and they all want to get married because you guys all want to get married. Let's call a spade a spade. But you can't dance at 2 weddings at the same time. You just can't. It doesn't exist. It's not sustainable. It's not feasible. And that's what I was doing. Okay. And verpa, today we're married with kids. A lot of us, and I'm guilty of that. I'm also dancing at 2 weddings. We always have that 2 dancing at the weddings at the same time. But so if you're not convinced with what you want, you're not going to find it. And, you talk about a barber. Back then, I was very friends to an Israeli barber guy that was there in another place. And he was dating a Lebanese girl, right? And I was starting to do a little bit of the religion. I used to go to them on a Friday afternoon at 1 and whatever, be there. And he's like, yeah, I'm with this girl, but I can't break off. And I said, listen, if you're not strong with where you want to be, it's going to continue. I said, look at this girl next to you. She's coming in. She's tsanua. She's getting ready. She's going to come home. And she probably, when she comes home, if you were her husband, you'd come home and you'd smell the challah and you'd smell the cooked and there'd be a vibe and the kids. You'd feel something. Don't you want? I says, yeah, you ain't going to get that with this girl, right? Unless maybe she converts. So you got to be strong. Min Hashemayim, he wanted to get out. He couldn't get out. And anyway, I think his father had passed away. He went back to Israel and he stayed in Israel. And now he's married and he did teshuvah. And Baruch Hashem, a big miracle, so to speak. So that's what happened. And as long as I stayed Beki, it led me to my wife. I met my wife. And now we're married 15 years later, Baruch Hashem, with 3 kids. Not to say that once we got married at the chuppah, that's it. Sit back on my tuches and do nothing. It's easy. No. It's work. You have to think of a mountain. You look at a mountain, you say, my God, the mountain's so high. How am I going to climb it? You get scared. You get discouraged. Finally, you climb the mountain. You get to the top mountain. You look down. You say, oh, my God, wow, I climbed all that. Great. And then you look back up. You say, oh, my God, there's another mountain, right? And then you have to prepare for that mountain, okay? It's almost like skiing for the skiers. When you get to the top of the mountain, you have to go down the mountain. How am I going to go down? But when you get down to the middle of the mountain, you look back up. You say, oh, my God, I can't believe I came down the mountain. So it's the same thing. The question is, what are the tools that we have? What do we have at a disposition that we can attach ourselves to help us get up that mountain? And that is the magical question.
So this is a great bridge because I really would like to end off this podcast on kind of like what you started this conversation on, because we spoke about struggles, ups and downs. So now you kind of you dipped yourself in this religious world. You got new tools, and all of a sudden, one day you found out that the job you had for how long were you working?
Oh, yeah.
How long were you working there for?
15 years.
Give
15 years.
Help us understand. You're a financial consultant. What did you sell?
Just a side note, I want to. I don't like the word religious. That's for me.
Okay.
I think as Jews, we're all Jews. Religious or not, religion. I think the word I want to use is practicing Jew.
Practicing.
Because practicing Jew means, and we're seeing it in Israel, you see kids who are not religious or practicing, but they're just wearing tzitzit katan.
Yeah.
It's the in thing right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's a practice.
Yeah.
They don't want to use the word. To me, it's a practice at the lowest level, but they don't realize that just by wearing it.
I think the labels are also problematic.
But everyone decides at what level they want to practice.
Okay.
So I'm at a company for 15 years.
Yeah.
I was a stock broker from 1998 to about 2001.
Yeah.
I sold my book, went to IG Wealth Management. I was wearing many hats there, in the business, dealing with clients, closing accounts, training, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And after 15 years, in April of 2023, I got laid off.
You get an email, you get a phone call. What do you get?
It was like in the movies. You have a meeting that was that day. That meeting that I had with my VP was already pre-planned 4 months ago. So I didn't think of anything.
Zoom meeting.
Yeah, Zoom meeting, a regularly planned meeting that we ran the meetings, and we have the meeting. When I have the meeting, the lady was there, and in the top right hand corner, I saw someone else. Yeah. So for those that do watch movies, there's a famous movie with George Clooney called Up in the Air.
Okay.
And he's a person that goes around the world laying people off, corporate people. So I was like, oh my God, it felt exactly like in that scene. Wow. In the movie, it's exactly like that. I said,
when you saw that lady, you're like, that's it.
So when I saw that scene, that's exactly what I saw in the movie. I said, that's it. Something's happening. Oh, wow. And lo and behold, with tears in her eyes, I want to inform you it's your last day here. She cried. And whatever it is. And then before you go, it's like before you can say anything, you're like, she's gone. Hi, this is so-and-so from Human Resources, and we'll go over the package. Now, listen, I'm a finance guy. I already knew after 15, 20 years at that company, the Baruch Hashem, the laws in this country are they pay you a certain amount per month. So I knew a package was coming.
Right.
And the package was, Baruch Hashem was the package. And it changed my life completely, in different ways. Okay. So I wasn't mad. And just for those that want to know exactly how I handled it, my wife came to me. My wife is super strong. And she said, Ron, instead of saying lama, because we always say why, just switch it around and say lima, for what? And that's it. And I did a switch right away. A few weeks later, other colleagues were being laid off, right? And when I was speaking to them, they're goyim. They don't have the tools. Effing company, and I'll sue the company, and bad names, and she's at this. Whoa. They don't have the kilim. Look at the reaction. Right. No. I said, buddy, instead of saying, so I tried to give them the chizuk. I said, instead of saying why, ask yourself for what reason. But they can't connect to that. It's impossible to understand what that means. So that's it. So my wife gave me that chizuk. And then I ran to my friend Jaime. And for those that want to listen, you can listen to what I'm going to give you as a chizuk as well. I said, Jaime,
we need you.
Jaime, I said, Jaime, what do I do now? How do I handle this? Right? And he gave me one itzah. And the itzah is the following. And we do it bodhidut. For those that speak to God for 1 hour a day, you take that time of 1 hour of inactivity. And that 1 hour of inactivity gives you bracha for the rest of the day, right? Shabbat is a day of inactivity that gives us bracha for the 6 days. He says the concept of Shabbat, 1 day of inactivity, gives you bracha for the 6 days of activity. You can extrapolate that Shabbat in your week with the bodhidut that you do in the middle of the day. That 1 hour, okay. So he said that's all you're going to do. Take the 1 hour a day now. You have the free time. Do it bodhidut on a regular basis. It's going to give you the bracha, right? That 1 hour of inactivity for your next few hours of activity in the new job that you have. Okay, that's the gist of it. So I went looking for a job, looking, and 6 months later, Baruch Hashem, I found something. And how I found something, if for those that want bitachon or a little bit chizuk, I spent hours on the computer, emails, CVs, hours. LinkedIn, I spent money to the hishtadlut. So everyone says that. I was one company, I think I went through 8 interviews. Okay? August, September, October. Okay? The head office, you have to do a business plan, you have to present this. I bought a suit, you show up, the whole 9 yards. Erev Shabbat.
A lot of haircuts.
I came for haircuts. And
thank God you got that package.
And when I went to Uman, I was praying that this would be the job. I thought it would be great. It was a great opportunity, great challenge. And I came back to Montreal. Erev Shabbat, Sukkot, I get the call, no go.
Oh, wow.
I was already in the holiday, okay? I was lying in bed. I said, okay, Mina Shamayim, I have the holiday. I'll focus on the holiday. I take my phone, and I'm on the phone on LinkedIn, jobs. I just saw something. Quick apply. The CV gets sent.
Yeah.
I get a call after the holiday.
This is, of course, Chol HaMoed.
Yeah, no, this is before the holiday.
Oh, before the holiday.
So a week later, I get anyway. Long story short, 3 weeks later, I got the job. Okay,
Wow.
just to show you when he decides. That's it. The reality is, before even being laid off, I was at that point where I realized, and you said the question, and then what? Then what can be a good thing and a bad thing? And here we are in our 50. I'm 51 years old. And then what? Still doing it now. I say, Hashem, I'm 51. Okay. I have gas in the tank in terms of energy and youth and vibrancy and vitality and all that, right? And if you work backwards, God willing, we live to the age of 90. 80 to 90, who knows what's going to happen, right? 70 to 80, I already see people 70 to 80. It's really roll the dice. 60 to 70, B'ezrat Hashem, you got something. But 50 to 60, buddy, this is my time, right? Do I want to work anymore? No. And I'm not jealous. I'm very happy for those that really were able to have, a passive income environment. And yeah. It's not lacking. You kind of want to do things for you and for the community and not have to work for the money and be there for your wife more.
Look, but the blessing is right in front of us.
Yes.
I'm 45 years old.
Yeah.
Okay. He's got a big advance.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the point is that one of my motivations, and he really pushed me to do this.
Yeah.
Okay. Is this here? We're on a Monday afternoon.
We're working. We're kings of Hashem.
But the way I psyched myself up to even allow myself to do this is that this is work. You can choose the type of hishtadlut you want. If it makes you feel good and you're happy, Hashem is going to send you the bracha.
In Chavod HaLevavot today,
yes,
it says in the Shara Bitachon that you have to make hishtadlut. Hishtadlut is a mitzvah.
Yeah.
The question, how much of the hishtadlut is the true mitzvah?
Right.
And the hishtadlut, whatever it is, quote unquote, is a big question mark because no one knows what that ever is. Whatever that is really is.
Right.
Okay. However, the emunah is that whatever Hashem decreed for you, it's gonna come to you.
Right.
Okay. You still have to make the hishtadlut. Don't sit on your tochas and do nothing and say have emunah. You have to make the effort. But there's efforts and there's efforts, and it's not the fun.
Dani, this took effort. If you saw the amount of money, time that this man put in to create this, and it's incredible.
Dani.
And
just if people watching the first podcast to the second podcast,
it took us a full. First of all, it took him 3-4 months of like banging me in the head, like, Richard, I want to do a podcast, and me, I'm like, dude, like, I just want to blow up my agency, like I want my marketing agency to blow up. I want to scale and stuff like this. I couldn't fathom taking time, and something clicked in my mind recently. It's like, this is also work.
This is avodat. This is avodat Hashem. Why'd you call me? For those who know, they had a cancellation. You should call me last minute in the middle of my day.
And you came.
Okay, and I came. Why? The reason here is because I know it's an avodat Hashem.
Right.
If there's one thing from this podcast that someone gets that you said or I said that helps someone.
Yeah.
At the most,
100%.
Don't go far. I did the first podcast. Me and my sister were editing the podcast. I listened to the first podcast maybe 10 times.
Wow.
And I was listening to one thing over and over and over and over. And one second, I said, what a second. I give me chizuk.
Wow.
I wake up from this. I stand up with this. I said, look, Hashem made me to build a podcast. To listen to it because I have to edit it and to be mitchazek.
True. But I'm going to give one advice, financial advice. I'm 51.
Financial advice.
I'm 51 years old, and there are a lot of people that have come to see me in the last 3-4 years, from the community, from my synagogue, other synagogues. Let's sit and, you go over some of the stuff, and there's the mentality, ne sois pas serré, ne sois pas cheap. Everyone has their, no problem. Do whatever the hell you want. It's your money, it's your life, your panasa. Go for it.
Yeah.
But when you get to a point that either A, you don't really have a pension, right? For someone that's a truck driver or a police officer or works for a major bank, and you don't have that money coming in when you want to stop working, or someone wasn't able to save for retirement and put money away for a rainy day so they can stop working. I mean, that means that person's going to work in their 50s or 60s or 70s. No one wants to work in their 70s, right? Some of them have real estate, so they have passive income. All I'm saying for everyone out there, get a plan. It's not me, I'm going to do a plan for you and all that. But as much as we think it's stupid, Hashem wants you to live within your means.
Yeah.
So stay in your lane. Who cares what your neighbor has and what your neighbor has? If you have to sacrifice, you sacrifice. Everyone decides what it is. But, if you can get to a point where you can take a little bit of a step back and breathe, okay? And you have what you have, and you're able to maybe, know that at a certain age, maybe potentially you can stop working, not to do nothing and sit in a rocking chair and pet a cat all day long, but to spend time with your grandkids and your wife. It's a bracha. Yeah. I'm not giving you financial advice. Just consider it. And yes, life is expensive and life is this, but no one says we have to have Uber Eats twice a week. No one says, not katuv anywhere, right? And no one says we have to have this wine versus that wine. Right. And no one says many things, okay? But we're trying to keep up, even in the religious world, even as practicing Jews. So the Yetzer Hara gets us at everyone at own level, right? So you can be the highest guy.
It's the next mountain.
It's the next mountain. No, but you have to figure that one out. And that's something the rabbis, and that's why in the religious communities, just to leave it, the takana weddings, I know it sounds crazy, is a wonderful thing. People think it's crazy. But the rabbi puts a rule that no wedding should be more than this. And now you've kind of, I wouldn't say you've controlled the community, but you've brought it down to a more normal environment.
Formalized it.
But we're far from that in our community. And it's to each their own, but I mean, it's getting crazy. The prices and weddings and this and that and yeshivot and seminars, and it's part of our life.
No, a billionaire told me.
So, Bezrat Hashem.
It's not because you need to spend.
Voilà. No. As Gedalia says, all successful people are not necessarily happy. But most happy people are very successful. But it doesn't mean in gashmiut. It doesn't mean in ruchniut. You can choose what you want, right? It's not easy. So how do you want to finish this? That's it?
Leave us your number, the company you work
with.
No,
there's no.
So Ronnie, I want to thank you. We want to thank you from CTTP.
I'm not sure how this is going to help people, but hopefully.
It was a fantastic, beautiful storytelling. Thank you very much.
No problem. Thank you. I can get back to work now.
Let's do it.